Hello everybody, Corey here. We're going to go through some of the numbers for YMAX and YMAG in this video for June 2024. So just a reminder, this is just for fun. Now this is the initial video. I do apologize. I was going to do it Friday night, then that didn't happen, and then it was really hard for me to get me to do my regular videos this weekend, so I never got around to doing this one as I was doing a lot of other things. I don't know why I have that just sitting there. It's weird. But I've got it all done, and I'm actually here early. I don't even know how that's possible, but it happened, so here we are. If we look here at the top, of course, these are just the calculations of the, looking at the number of shares that they had at the time and the actual dividend payments, dividend per share, and then how much the dividends were paid by looking at the shares and the monthly dividend. And then over the right hand side, I think I added this last month. So this is just to show the weightings. So the first weighting is the portfolio weighting, right? So obviously in this portfolio, NVIDIA is the heaviest weighted with almost 15.5%, while the lowest rated one is AMZ at 13.7%. And then it just has a ranking to the right of it that shows you the ranking of that weighting. And then in the right hand, all the next two columns on the right side there, this is the weighting of the dividends. And so that's actually what this is sorted by right now. So you can see that NVIDIA paid out 32% of the dividends of the portfolio, with the lowest being MSFO and only paying out, almost 7.4%. So you only had two here that were under 10%, and that was the MSFO and Aptly at 7.76%. So anyway, just thought it was a cool addition last month, so we added that there. So anyway, that's the total amount for YMAG there at 2.35 million. And I forgot to say this. I know I started saying this is the initial video for the week for this estimate period or whatever. And since I am doing this so late, there's only going to be maybe a couple of these put out. If you're brand new, you're going to enjoy this video. Maybe if you're a numbers person, if you've been watching these for a while, you're probably not going to like this one too much, because it will be longer, because I always explain the initial video. I always explain everything up front again. And then I only explain again in subsequent videos for that week if I made a change. And honestly, last month I didn't have a lot of time, so I didn't make a lot of changes. And this month I'm probably not making any changes either. So just to put that out there. If you, like I said, if you've been watching a while, just fast forward some until you get to what you want to see. But others that may be new, they want to understand a little bit more about what's here. So hopefully you can see this. Try to show you here all on one screen. So the same exact thing at the bottom. The only difference is we're doing it with YMAX, right? So we have the shares, and then we have the monthly dividend, and then that gives us how much the dividends, how much dividends, I can't even talk now, are paid into YMAX here. So, and then again, our weighting for the portfolio weighting and the ranking for that, and then our dividend weighting or distribution weighting with the rank there. So, again, it's also sorted by rank. So, NVIDIA, again, having the largest distribution, which was 11.5% of the portfolio here, and for the dividends. And then Misty's right. I mean, it's close behind. It's only 1% behind it. It's at 10.5%. And then Coney being 9%. Believe it or not, AIYY is the next one at 8.4%. I guess because they had to buy a bunch because it was so cheap to wait out, the even weighting of the portfolio. And then they ended up paying a a pretty decent dividend or distribution this month. But anyway, then we have, of course, at the bottom here, we have all those that were under 3%. We have Zomo 2%, JPMO 2.2%, MSFO 2.6%, Apple 2.8%, Dizzo 2.9%. So those are your lowest ranking ones there as far as the dividend distributions. I keep saying dividend because I see it say div at the top, so I apologize. Distributions, the weighting there. But anyway, so you can see overall in the bottom in the middle is $8.2 million paid to YMAX. So now that we've gone over that real quick, we'll just go straight into this. And I did not set this up so we could get it all on one page. So to go through this, we've done this for a month or two now like this. We have here, we'll have YMAG and then YMAX, but the single stock ETF, so that first line on line 2, June 5th here, that's the single stock ETF declaration date. And then the next one is that single stock ETF ex dividend date, and then that first pay date for that dividend. And then I say the first only because some people, depending on which accounts you have, you may not be paid on that pay date. So you'll probably get paid on the next one. And so here, the dividends paid, that's all going to be the same from the other tab. And then here's where we have in the next column the outstanding shares and how they change next day. Which I'm surprised to see this because, yeah, wow. That just threw my estimate for, well, I actually haven't really looked at these, but I was going to say, well, the estimate will probably be about where it is showing today. That was before today's holdings, though, before I posted those in here. I didn't realize that the outstanding shares went up 325,000. So what we have here, these are the outstanding shares every single day. And you can see they didn't change up here. But today they've changed 325,000 or 12%. And of course, at this point, since it's the only day we've had any buy-in, that is also the total change as well. And up here we have, if you would have held the underlying stock yourself and received the distribution, you would have received 85 cents or 85 cents a share and a 50% yield. And then, of course, the next couple of days, because the outstanding shares didn't change, it would have been about the same, right? Now, because the outstanding shares did change and pretty significantly, this has been reduced now from 85 to 76 cents estimate. Now, the last, like I said, this one hasn't been as popular. So last month when I did it, I did the estimate basically whatever, the night before or whatever. I ended up saying, yeah, it's probably going to be near this today's outstanding share, which actually, I guess I need to change this now. I guess I changed it to the wrong thing, not thinking earlier, because that's actually not today. That's today's amount. So, yeah, and the same thing. Let's see, where are those numbers? Okay. And we're using the last month. So I just got to double check some of these because we have to adjust some of these formulas as we go through. Well, that's interesting. All right, so I had to change both formulas to pull from today's data. And then I went ahead and changed YMAX as well. So now you can see those two lines are just pulling from here. And then I used this a couple of months ago because I looked at the way it had worked the previous month. And last month I was going to do something different. and then I never got around to it. And then I couldn't remember what I was going to do, but then I didn't, since I couldn't remember, didn't have time to get around to it, whatever it was. I ended up not changing it. And honestly, again, here we are. I'm rushed and don't have a lot of time. And I really have no clue at this point because I have to go back and figure out what I did to get that. And then try to figure out what it was I was going to do. But this worked. This was what I used from a couple of months ago, and then it worked for last month. I say it worked. It came up with numbers, and then I just sort of guessed, about where it would probably be. I guess the day before with the updated numbers, and it was within a penny or so. So this gives you, well, one was right and one was within a penny. That probably never happen again. But this is just to help give a range, right? So like this is going to be the max that could be paid, but that's only based on today's numbers. And then, but it could be as low as right here, just based on using, again, historical drops or whatever. But we will see how this goes. This is, so tomorrow, yeah, so the reason I have the blue, not blue, the number 4 highlighted, because that's what we expect the day before declaration day. So we expect that they're going to use the outstanding shares from that day, to do the declaration for the next day, which may or may not be accurate. So, but, we don't truly, unless you work for Zega, you don't truly know. Or, I'm sorry, I don't even know who is in charge of YMAX and YMAG, actually. I know he had told me somebody else handles this. But anyway, I don't know. 325,000 outstanding shares. Will anybody else buy in? I don't know. But historically, this one is the least bought in. So let's look last month at May. This one looks a lot better because I was just zooming in here. So maybe you can see it better if I do that. And then I'd scroll over. But when I look back at May, you could see, we did have, that was even before the dividends were paid. And that's just so we can see how they're changing and what's going on here. So we had a little bit there, but not a lot. Yeah, I guess I do have these other numbers here, but I think I'll just stick with what we have. We'll see. But let's move on, and we already talked through those. I didn't talk so much about these, but this is like from looking at those previous month, that's the single stock declaration to the actual was like reduced 12%. So all that's doing is, the same, given an estimate based on that, a 12% drop in the price or the distribution amount. And the other one, it's because they had a buffer that month that I did these of about 5% of the distribution or whatever. So again, it's not anything awesome there, just to help give some estimates with some numbers. And then there's an average if you want to look at the average, sort of similar to how we do the single stock ones. So just to throw an average up there if you want to look at the average between those. But let me see what that's averaging. So it is all 3 of them. And then if we look over here at YMAX, this one, though, you see that there's a huge jump right there. And if we look back at May, wasn't nothing huge like that, but you can see we went up in this period, a million shares or 17%. And over here, we went up 450,000, which ended up being 21%. But yeah, wow, I didn't see that. That's quite a bit there. Which we didn't go through the outstanding shares. I usually do that first, but I'd already started here. But we can say we had a little bit. We had a 2% increase up there on June 6th, and today a 13% increase. So I don't know if that will continue, but so that's brought us down to, if we would have, again, owned these shares up front, we would have received 89 cents a share. And then you can see where they bought into 150 here, that reduced that down to 87 cents a share. And now that they've bought in, there's another 1.2 million outstanding. Now that's reduced us down to 77 cents there for today. So here, if we're looking at today's outstanding, based on today's outstanding shares, 0.77 cents. If we're looking at this, you know, the estimates with these drops, those are 68 and 69 cents. So it's given about an average of 71 cents here. Of course, that's assuming that people are going to continue to buy in, and assuming a buffer. However, I think, and I didn't carry the number over. I'll have to update the numbers on the right hand side. But one of them I know has not always paid out the dividend because it had a built in buffer. So there still could be, these buffers could be reduced some or taken away altogether just because they've put some in there before and then it didn't pay out the entire distribution amount. Because you don't ever know. They have to do something there because you don't ever know, like here on this funds to funds declaration, between them telling what everybody the declaration or the distribution amount's going to be, and then that day, lots of people possibly buying in, and then you're going to need to pay those people as well. So, I don't know. It's just, looking at these the last couple of months, this is just sort of how this is worked out. So what I haven't done is seen these side by side because I haven't seen these new numbers until we were just looking at them. So we're looking at 77 and 71, 76 and 70. So right now, these look like, and depending on the outstanding shares increasing or not, these are looking to pay about the same amount. Again, one of these had, I think I didn't save it before I copied it, and then I messed up the numbers. So I'll have to double check here from previous months, but I know, just glancing here, if this is correct, and I'll go back and double check this May, but if this is correct, both of them have a little bit of extra sitting out there, so maybe they won't do as much of a buffer. But if we look here at the schedule, let's see. So just historically here, if we're looking at let me just hide this because this is just in my way and I don't need it here. I'll leave the rest of those because I'm sure y'all want to see those, but this is just where I have the schedule. But we can see here February through May payments. So basically, like column M, if we're looking at YMAG, column M is how much YMAG itself has paid as a distribution. And then in column N is if you had held the underlying, meaning you held your own YMAG portfolio, you built your own portfolio there. This is what you would have received versus buying YMAG itself. And then, of course, the difference in the percentages there. And then same thing with YMAX over to the side. If you would have held YMAX, you got this. If you would have built your own portfolio with the underlines of YMAX yourself, then that's what you would have received. Of course, I've done now going on a few months of the my own YMAX portfolio. So, and I've done a few videos on those, so I will do an updated video as well but obviously it's going to do better because you don't have that dilution there of all the other people buying in, taking the, you know, I don't mean to say it so cruel or anything like that, but everybody buying in that didn't own it when the other declaration actually happened and the other ones distributed funds. So, they're missing out on some of that, which is why, I know I talked about it a lot and I show this here, but then that's why I decided to do that YMAX project to show, if you held these stocks, then, this is what you're getting. This is me. I've got actually have two different portfolios now. After doing the first one, I was like, well, maybe I should do this. So I have one that where I'm doing it equally weighted like this, or as equally weighted as I can because we've started out small with 1 month with $1,000, and whole shares, so no fractional shares. And then I decided, well, what if we just bought? Well, I did a test if we did just bought that month an even number of shares versus even weighted, and it seemed to do better. So then the next month they did a comparison. I started another portfolio, so now I have two, one that's equally weighted, and then one that has this all the same number of shares. And so far, the one with the same number of shares have done better than the equally weighted. But originally I started this just to show that you could make more money if you did the made your own portfolio of these. So I don't know if I'll continue to do it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I don't know if anybody wants me to continue to do them and show them, but that's what I had been doing there. As far as the outstanding shares go, this is just to show historically where we've sort of come. Now, these numbers are going to be a little bit different than the other tab because this is just to show data in a different way. But we're showing the payment dates here because we're looking to see, we're expecting really that buy-in once people are getting their payments from the single stock ETFs and coming over and buying these, right? So I wish I had my pen. Let's see. I lost it when I came back in the bedroom. So this number here, well, I don't want to look at February because February's, that's when I first started and I didn't have all the holdings because I wasn't even covering them just yet at the first part of February. But I can show you here. So this is like that in-between period right there. And these percentages here are showing how the stock outstanding shares changed for each of those stocks during that sort of gray window. And then here, when we're actually sort of in that pay window, probably more activity, then this is just showing like, this the change was 35% or 34% within that green window period. And that's just, again, just looking at these. And you can see all of those over there. Again, I talked about already the payment day for most. This first one up there should have said others. They both say most. And I say this because I know like Fidelity and all those types, you're going to get it on the pay date. But then for others, I know like Moo and I think Weeble, you're not going to get it until the day after that. I don't know if there's any other ones out there that are like that or not. I just happen to have those two, so I know. But and then, of course, the yellow line's ex-dividend date, so you can see where people are still buying. That way you can see where people are buying in the ex-dividend date, just to compare the people that are buying in on the declaration date versus the ex-dividend date versus the green days versus the in-between days. So most of you probably won't care about this. But if we want to look at this period right now, you can see we didn't have a lot from YMAG. We only had 100,000 shares, additional outstanding shares there between the last ex-dividend date and, not including, but since then, and before this period, before today, actually. So it only increased 4%, but in this one day, now we've already increased 12% there. And then for YMAX, you can see it's more popular, right? So there's a lot of buy-in going on there. In fact, the outstanding shares increased 28%. Of course, so far, even though we have a large amount there at 1.2 million, it's still only 13%. So it's sort of right in line there with YMAG for right now, at least during the green period there. And if you look back, you can sort of see that, and historically, you can see during that period 12, 13, 17. So we've already done more this month than we did the last month in the green period, but the previous couple of months they were high percentages. But last month wasn't that much, and I would say it's because it was a small period, but we had the same number of days, green days, this period as last one. But you can see also here, and that's what column B is for over here, is it's counting the number of days in between. So the first couple of months there were 4 days between that first payment day, or including the first payment date through declaration date. So that's the 4, and then X, of course, is X dividend date. And then in April, there were actually 7 days. So we almost doubled that. And then last month and this month, there's 5 days. Again, it's just looking at numbers. And, I may or may not continue to do this. I just think it's interesting to watch it and just sort of see how it goes. And it may, start changing. It may not. Because you can see at the beginning, it seemed like YMAG was going to do really good. But then, I don't know. I guess because YMAX was paying out more, people decided they wanted to be in YMAX versus YMAG. But right now, this month, we're looking at possibly about the same amount for both of them. So it just depends on where we go the next couple of days with outstanding shares. So anyway, I should, do a video tomorrow night like we do. And if some of you that are new here, usually, we'll try to do this out, several days out, usually like the week before. I would have done it this weekend, like I said, with Friday's numbers, but I didn't get a chance. And then we'll just follow it, watch it. Don't feel like you have to. Some people like to. They want to see what's changing between doing the initial video and the follow-ups. And in the follow-ups, we won't go through all of this. It'll just be looking at where we are, updating on our outstanding shares, and where we look on all of our numbers and percentage changes. But we won't go through everything again if you want to check it out the next day or two. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyway, thanks for joining me, y'all, and being patient with me, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.